All right, so we are in a parsha class. We're going to discuss a very interesting issue on one hand, but on the other hand, it's something which is very fundamental to the Jewish identity. The truth has to be told that all these parshiot, all these portions in the Torah that we discuss at this time of the year, which involves our patriarch and matriarchs, has to do a lot with the Jewish soul. Because as we all know, it's a Kabbalistic idea, but it's something which is also pretty understood on a very simple level. We are called Jews because we are the sons and daughters of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. It says in the Gemara, in the tractate Brachot, right, the first tractate of Gemara, that the titles in Judaism are very precise usually. We call Moshe Rabbeinu. Right? Moshe our teacher in the evening. Moshe our teacher. And we call Yosef the tzaddik. So each one has a special title. And don't be frightened by our technology. But so the Gemara is saying that Avot means fathers, right? The founding fathers of our nation, we call only to three people. Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. They are entitled to this title to be called Avot. Okay, why is that? Because just like parents, fathers and mothers, they give inheritance, right? They inherit their children with their qualities. It could be with financial things, but it's also spiritual things, like you know, the characteristic of a person comes from the parents usually. So our figures as Jews is rooted in these people, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and also Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. So that's why only those people are entitled to the name Avot, to be called patriarch and matriarch, because they are really our father. The people who gave us are the elements of our souls. So anything that involves these parshiot, lech, lecha, vayera, all these parshiot that we're talking about our fathers, we're talking basically about our fathers, but we're also talking about ourselves too, right? There's a famous phrase. The Ramban quotes it many times. Maaseh avot siman labanim. Maaseh avot means the deeds of our father is also a sign for the children. Okay, anything that happened with the fathers is something to give us a clue about the destiny of the children of Israel. So that's why the importance of this parshiot. So it's very interesting to know. Usually I start with a joke. It's not me, you take it from all kinds of things. So the introduction to the class had to be something that has to do involved with elections. Okay, with elections. Why? Because as we're going to see a little later, what does it have to do with elections? But I was looking for something about elections. So maybe I said a joke once, maybe not. But they said a joke about a Hindu, a Jew, and a politician. They went hiking in some place in America. In Texas. Let's make it this way, okay? They went hiking. They were friends. They decided to go. Did anyone heard it ever before? Okay, that's a good sign. So they went hiking and they got lost. And it's getting dark already, and they lost their way. They don't know where to go. So they figured they heard a lot about the Southern. It's called the Southern hospitality, right? They're very generous people. They're welcoming guests. So they knock on one of the farm's doors and to ask, please, if we can spend the night over here. Tomorrow morning we'll wake up and we'll continue our journey. They knock on the first farm that they see, and a Texan man open the door. How can I help you, gentlemen? So they tell them, listen, we got lost over here and we can't find our way back to our camp, to the place where we're supposed to be. Please let us stay over the night. So tells no problem, you're welcome in, but there's just one problem. I have just two normal regular beds, and one of you are gonna have to go to sleep in the barn, where they put all the grains, all the stuff in the field. So both of them, politician and the Jew, look at the Hindu. They said, "Okay, you have to go. We're gonna take the beds, and you have to go to the barn. I'm sorry." So he's gonna go to the barn. He's going to the barn. 10 minutes pass, and he's knocking on the door. The Hindu knocks on the door. He opens the door and he goes in and says, "I'm sorry. There's no way I can sleep in the barn. There's a cow in the barn, and the Hindus they're worshiping the cow. How can I, a Hindu, come from India, sleep in the same place, in the same location with a cow? I cannot do that. I'm sorry, I cannot fall asleep. Sorry, I cannot go." So they look at the Jew, And the Jew has to go to the barn. Okay, fine. He says, I guess, okay, fine, I'll have to go to the barn. So going to the barn, a few minutes later, he knocks on the door. He said, I'm sorry, there's a pig. There's a swine in the barn. Can't go there. How can a Jew sleep in the same place with a pig? Cannot sleep in the barn. So, okay, both of them look at the politician. The politician goes. He says, I'm sorry. Okay, fine, I'll have to go. He's going. A few minutes later, 10 minutes pass by. There's a knock on the door. They open the door. And standing a cow and a pig at the door, standing a cow and a pig. The politician brought him to the room. Anyhow, so
well, the punchline is, how can we share the barn with the politician?
Oh, yeah, really? Okay. It could have been a nice
time. Sleep in there with a politician.
Or with a lawyer. You can take it wherever you want.
Yeah.
Whichever person you don't like. So usually in the time of elections, it's in Israel too, but it's all over the world. People are trying to discover the past of the person who wants to get elected, right? Every candidate wants to get a position. So everybody, especially journalists, the media, try to it's called scrutinizing, right? To scrutinize the past of the candidate to see if he's fit, if he's suitable for the position, for the power he wants to have. And the truth is that this is the right thing to do. If a person wants to get elected, wants to get a job, wants to get a permanent job, especially funded by public money, so it's the right of the public to know who is the person. So usually they go back up until to find out back to his kindergarten years also to find out what kind of a kid was he. But in the Torah we find this thing also, except for Avraham Avinu. This is basically the introduction for our discussion today. We spoke about it last week in parshat of Noach, right? The Torah gives us, before we introduce to the person, to this figure of Noach, who was chosen to be the father of the new humanity, right? After the flood, after the destruction of the entire world, Hashem wants him, he's a tzaddik, so Hashem wants him to recreate the world through him. So the Torah gives us an introduction about him. Noach ish tzaddik tamim haya b'dorotav. Noach was a righteous man. He was complete. He was good. He was walking in the ways of God. Right? The Torah gives us an introduction about him. Also about Moshe, we find it. And the Torah tells us few stories about Moshe, about his bravery and about his careness for his people. The Torah tells us that he went out and he saw an Egyptian man beating a Jew, so he killed him. And then afterwards, the next day he went out again and he saw two Jewish people fighting between themselves, and he separated them and he educated them. So we find, and so goes on. The Torah usually, before we introduce to a person, the Torah gives us an introduction about this person, and it's very interesting. When it comes to Avraham Avinu, we know nothing about Avraham Avinu. The beginning of the story of Avraham Avinu starts with this last week's parasha. Vayomer Hashem el Avram, lech lecha me'aretzecha. And God spoke to Abram, and He told him, you should leave your place, you should leave the place where you live, and you should start going to the land of Canaan. Beforehand, we don't know anything about the man. We just know he's 75 years old. That's what the Torah let us know. He's 75 years old. And the Torah, all of a sudden, what we call out of the blue, the Torah tells us that he needs to leave his place and start walking towards Eretz Yisrael. And the question is, why? I mean, who is the Avraham Avinu that merited this great zchut to have this zchut, right? To recreate, to create a new nation, the Jewish people. And why? We know nothing about him. Unlike any other leaders in the Jewish history, that the Torah let us know at least a little bit of background about the person. About Avraham Avinu, we know nothing. The Torah keeps silent and tell us nothing about it. So let's see. We're going to read a little bit it's in Hebrew though, but we'll translate it. We're going to figure it out. So first of all, the story of Abraham starts in the parsha of Noach, last parsha of Noach. Torah tells us, Vayichid Terach 70 shana. Terach was Abraham's father, right? So Terach lived 70 years, Vayoled, and he gave birth to Avram, Nachor, ve'et Haran. He had three sons. First one was Avram, which later became Abram, right? Avram, and then Nachor is his second son, and then Haran, the third one. Vayamot Haran al pnei Terach aviv be'eretz moladato. And Haran has died. Al pnei means at the life of his father. While his father was still alive, he passed on. Haran. ויקח תרח את אברהם בנו, תרח is taking his son Abram, ויצאו איתם מאור כסדים ללכת ארצה כנען. And they have taken them all together from Ur. Ur was the place where they lived. That was their place. ללכת ארצה כנען, to start walking towards the land of Canaan. And then we read again in that Chalat parshat lech, in the beginning of this week's parshat lech lecha, ויאמר השם אל אברהם, לך לך מארצך וממולדתך ומבית אביך אל הארץ אשר אראך, ואברך מברכך ומקללך אור. Whoever will bless you will be blessed, and whoever will curse you will be cursed. That's what Hashem tells Avraham Avinu. ונברכו בך כל משפחות האדמה, and all the nations of the earth will be blessed by you. Okay? This is what Hashem is telling Abram. And the question is, that's everything the Torah let us know about Abram. And very unusual. And in the words of the Ramban, we're going to go on to the commentary of Ramban. Ramban is Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman, right? Not to be confused with Rambam, okay? This is Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman, Nachmanides, right? We call him Nachmanides. And he has a very, what is this? In the middle of the class. Leave him alone. So is that why we have 4 participants in the class? Are you serious? Is he coming towards me now? Oh, yes. What? What are you going to do? Okay, I'll go on while the... You're brave. Glenn?
Yeah?
Oh, wow. Kol hakavod, they say in Hebrew. Wow. Just put it in my arm, calling me, that's it. No, don't do that, it's going to come back here. Okay. All right. So, so in the words of Nachmanides, thank you. In the words of Nachmanides, right? Nachmanides is one of the commentators of the Torah, lived in Spain, in Barcelona actually. Barcelona is in the news these days. So he lived in Barcelona, like, I don't know exactly when, like in the 13 or the 1400s. He lived there. And he says like this, Zota parasha, this parasha, lo be'ara kol ha'inyan, has not clarified this whole issue. Why? Because ma ta'am, what is the reason sheyomar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that Hashem has told him, hazov artzecha, you should leave your land, ve'iti va'imach, and I will benefit you, I will reward you, tova shelo hayita kamo ba'olam, such a favor and such a benefit that has never been ever before in the world. Mibli sheyakdim shaya Avraham oved Elokim o tzadik tamim, without giving us any introduction that Avraham was a servant of Hashem, or tzadik tamim, a righteous man. The Torah does not give us any introduction about him. And basically all the commentators of the Torah ask this question. How come the Torah does not give us any detail, any information about Avraham Avinu? Okay? So maybe you can tell me, right, what could be a potential answer to this question. There is nothing to tell about Abraham, because really there was nothing to tell about him. There was nothing special about him. Hashem just needed a person to start, doing this project of creating a new nation, creating the Jewish nation. So he picked Abraham Avinu in this way. I mean, in the same way, he could have picked any other individual who lived in that time, so to speak, right? Like, today they say these investigations about Bibi sometimes, not sometimes. It's been going on for a long time. So there's a phrase that Bibi always keeps saying all the time, Lo haya klum ki en klum. There is nothing because it's not going to be anything because really there was nothing. That's what he's saying. Nibui goes better. Lo haya klum because en klum ki lo haya klum, or something like this. Maybe that's the same story with Abraham. The Torah does not let us anything to know about him because really there was nothing special about him. Just an ordinary man, a good guy. I mean, he wasn't evil. He wasn't a bad person, but okay, nothing special, nothing like Noah who was righteous, nothing of the kind. Maybe that's the answer. But the truth is, if we open the Midrash, right, the Midrashim about this parasha, we find a lot of stories that have been told has been told about the first years of Avraham Avinu. The first 75 years of Avraham Avinu is full of amazing and elaborated stories that happened with him in his life. So we're going to see very little of it, okay? Of the stories that the Midrash, the Torah itself does not let us know these stories, but in the Midrash is he's said all those stories. Okay? And so we're going to see a little bit from number 2, okay? So first of all, in order to understand that, there's 3 questions that the Midrashim asks, okay? 3 questions, very quick questions, nothing too difficult, but it's a very interesting question about the story of Avraham. Adata, psikta zutrata, okay? That's the second source. Psikta zutrata. Can I have maybe a cup of water if you don't want? Sorry. Just to get too dry after the bottle with the. Thank you. Yeah. So psikta zutrata, it's also a combination of few midrashic sources. So he's asking a question. Adata lo met ben lifnei ha'av. Veze lama met. He's asking a question about Haran. If you remember, we started the shiur with a quote that Terach had 3 sons. One of them was Avram, the second one was Haran, and Haran has passed away at the time during the lifetime of his father, Terach. So the question is, we never found such a thing. I mean, since the beginning of creation, 2,000 years before the story of Abraham, there was no incident like that recorded in the Torah about a son that dies during the lifetime of his father. This is the first incident that happened since the creation of the world. That's what, if we open the first parshat of Bereshit and Noach, we see a list of the people who lived then. So it's usually very, very clear that a person lived this and this amount of years, and he gave birth to a son, and then he passed away, and his son gave birth to another son, and it goes like this for decades and generations. The first time that we find that a son has passed away during the lifetime of a father, this is the first time. Haran, who passed away during the lifetime of Terach. So the question is, what happened? What's the story there? How come he passed out during the lifetime of Terach? Okay? And second question is asked by the Ramban. Lama barach me'em Avraham lalechet aretz Canaan. It looks like that Avraham escaped. He ran away from his place, from Ur, to start walking towards Aretz Canaan, towards the land of Canaan. So what happened? Why did they leave? Why does a regular, ordinary family of Ur wakes up one day and decided they're going to leave and start walking towards Eretz Yisrael? What happened? Looks like there's something happened that caused them to leave their place and start marching towards Israel. So, and the last thing, we just know that Hashem has blessed Avraham Avinu. You should start walking towards the land of Israel, and whoever will bless you will be blessed, and whoever will curse you will be cursed. So it comes out that he had people who cursing him. Hashem does not tell him that people who will curse you will be cursed in vain. I mean, for no reason. Probably he had some people who fought against him, against Abraham. That's why Hashem tells him this blessing, that whoever will start up with you will be cursed. Right? So what's the story? I mean, so we see there was something going on in this Terach and Abraham family in their past. So the story goes like this. This is a very famous midrash that tells us a little bit of the story of the family of Abraham. It was not just another simple, nice, ordinary family. Something going on in the family of Abraham. So the story goes like this. Bereshit Rabbah Lamed Chet. The Medrash is saying like this. Terach Oset Slamim Haya. The parnasah, the livelihood of Terach was to make idols. That was the thing that he made his living by. Okay, he used to make idols. Umuchram labriot. He used to sell it to the people. Right? Whoever wanted an idol, just like today, you're going to a shop and you want to buy, parochet for Sefer Torah or something like this. You go to a Judaica store. So that was the Judaica, so to speak, the paganist store of the time. Right? Any paganite item that you need, you're going to go to Terach, right? So Terach used to make these idols and sell it to the people. Pam yatsa. What does this mean, Pam yatsa? One day he went out, right? He had to go to do some errands. Veishir et Avraham limkor tachtav. And he asked his son Avraham to be instead of him, to stay in the store and to sell people, to accept the people walk into the store. Ba'isha, came along a lady, im ke'ara mele'a solet, with a ke'ara means like a bowl, like a vessel, some kind of a vessel, mele'a besolet, full of solet. Solet is some kind of, how do you call solet? Samalina. Yeah, some kind of a flower, very well made, I think, flower, right? It's not like a regular one, it's better than a regular one. וביקשה להקריב לפני הפסלים, and she asked to bring forth this present, this something that she dedicated to in front of one of the idols. לקח אברהם מקל בידו, אברהם has taken a stiff, a hard stick in his hand, שבר את כל הפסלים, he broke all the idols, והניח את המקל ביד הגדול שבהם, and he placed the stiff, the big stick, in the hand of the big idol. One of the idols were outstanding size, something bigger than the rest of them. So he placed the stiff in his place. Shabbat Terach, when Terach came back from his errands, and he wondered who did that, who broke all the idols. Siper Avraham had told him, ki apsalim ravu, all the idols were brewing, like, fighting between themselves. Okay. Who is going to get the solid? Who's going to get this flower? Whatever you said. And until came the big idol and broke them all apart. That's what Avraham tells his father. That's the reason why they're all smashed, why they're all broken. Amar lo Terach comes along and tells him, Ata lo egli, you're making fun of me. Do they know what's going on around them? Can they move? Can they take a stiff? Can they hit anything or anybody? Ana lo Avraham, so Avraham answers back to him, Hashamot oznecha ma shepicha omer. Does your ears hear your mouth? Whatever you just said. You just said that they are nothing. They cannot move. They cannot be any source of vitality cannot come out of them. So how could you worship them? That was the discussion of Abraham and Terah. And by the way, as a side note, it has to be said, what was their mind of paganite people worship any kind of idol, right? It's made out of stone, made out of wood. It wasn't just full people who believed that these idols really created the world. They weren't so full, right? These people. They had a whole philosophy behind that of worshiping idols. Worshiping idols was no small thing. They really had a whole thing about it, and the Rambam talks about it. Basically saying that, as we all know, the world is run naturally by forces of nature. I mean, we just now starting the winter, so you got rain and you got wind who brings the clouds with it. So you see a lot of forces in nature. You got the force of fire, and you got all kinds of forces. So they basically said, we know there is something which is above all nature and above everything. But it's something. But this entity, this God, this spiritual ruler of everything, this is something which is very, very far from us, completely detached from us. So we need something which is more closer to us. So that's why each one of them picked a certain force of nature. For example, they say about the Egyptians, we're going to read it in the Shemot time. The Egyptians worship a little bit like the Hindu worship the cow. So they worship the taleh, how do you say it? Like a little sheep. Okay, not sheep, a goat. Like they worship a goat. So what were they thinking when they worship a goat? I mean, what's so unique about it? It's not even a tiger. It's not even it's not even an eagle that you find in the American symbol. Nothing mighty about it. Well, what's in the goat or in the sheep to worship? So the rabbi once explained it that if you look at the zodiacs, right? So what's the mazal of Taleh? What time of the year is the mazal of Taleh? We got Taleh over here? I don't know what Taleh is. What, a goat? No, one of the zodiacs, right? You got scorpion, you got all kinds of symbols.
The ram, right?
A ram? No, ram is like later on, like ER time, I think. A ram? No, something like lighter than a ram, something more gentle. Taleh, I don't know. Okay, we'll look it up. So this is basically the time of the spring. The time of Nisan. The time of Nisan, like March time. March? Yeah, around March time. This is the time of Taleh. This is when the zodiac's dominant entity is the Taleh. So they basically worship the nature. In spring, this is the time when you see the awakeness of the nature. Up until that time of the spring, the nature is a little bit asleep. During the winter time, everything is asleep. Springtime, all of a sudden, the sun is shining brighter, and the entire vegetation family starts to grow, and you see a lot of life start to grow, right? The world is teeming with life at the time of the spring. So they basically worship nature as it is. So when is the best time of nature? When you see nature in its full capacity, in its full glorious appearance. So this is at the time of the spring. So they took the zodiac, they took the symbol of the spring to their god. That's why they choose the Taleh. So we see beyond every idol worshipping, there was a philosophy. There was something that was behind that. Okay, there's a joke. There's a Hasidic joke about this one of the. Okay, but it's behind the scope of what we're talking today. But okay, just the last thing about this issue. One of the Avodah Zarah, it's also been mentioned in the Torah a few times. It's called Baal Peor. Baal Peor is a place where people used to go and make their tzrachim. How do you say that? Their whatever they have to make, right? They have to go to the bathrooms. Instead of going to the bathroom, they're going there and make their whatever they have to make there by the... that was this kind of idol worshipping. So the question, what kind of idol worshipping is that? You're going to a temple or whatever it is, and you make whatever you make, and this is the working of the idol. So Hasidic people used to say that in the first generation of this idol, people were trembling of the mighty and glorious ideas that was embedded in this idol. Okay, so that's why they used to make, so to speak, used to make in their pants. But then later on, when generation became weaker and weaker, they have stopped really thinking and contemplating about the idea of this idol, and they left only with the actual thing of making whatever. Okay, whatever. We'll leave that aside. But that was just a thing about the Avodah Zarah thing. That it wasn't just a foolish behavior of people. People really had a philosophy behind it. But okay, going back to Abram. So the Medrash also goes on to tell us. We're going to read the next paragraph in the Medrash about the discussion that an exchange of words that was between Avraham and Nimrod. Nimrod was the king of the time, and when he heard that Abraham is rebellious against the idols, so he decided to call upon him and have an argument with them. So says Nimrod to Avraham, Nimrod is coming and tell Avraham, Ishtachave la'esh, please bow down to the fire, okay? Because Nimrod avad et ha'esh, Nimrod was worshipping the fire. Amar Avraham, so Avraham answers him, Mutav lishtachavot lemayim amechabim et ha'esh. It's better to bow down to worship the water. Why? Because the water are extinguishing the fire. So why worshipping the fire? You think the fire is the most elevated force in nature. Here you see fire, you see water, and water come and they extinguish the fire. So why worship the fire? So tell them, okay, ishtachave lamayim, I accept your idea. So ishtachave lamayim, bow down to the water. Amar Avraham, mutav lishtachavot la'ananim anosim et hamayim. It's better to bow down to the ananim, to the clouds who bring the water. Okay, why bow down to the water? Bow down to the clouds which bring about the water. Amar lo, okay, no problem, I accept your opinion. Ishtachave la'ananim, so bow down to the clouds. Amar Avraham, mutav lishtachavot la'ruach. Why bow to the clouds? It's better to bow down to the wind, shemefazeret et ha'ananim, which spreads out gather them in the first place, and then also spreads out the ananim, the clouds. Amar Nimrod, so Nimrod answers him, Dvarim she'en ba'em mamash ata medaber. You're speaking nonsense. You're speaking things which are make no sense to me. Ani eini mishtachave el ha'esh. I am worshipping to the fire. V'areini mashlichacha betocha, and I'm going to throw you into the fire. Ve'yavo Eloha she'ata mishtachave lo ve'yatzil otcha, and let your God that you are worshipping, that you are a servant of Hashem, of God, and let's see if He's going to save you out of the fire. That was the exchange between Nimrod and Abram. And the Gemara goes on to tell us, in Gemara in Sanhedrin and the Gemara also in Psachim, so the Gemara tells us, Itkaptzu alafim verevavot. A lot of people have gathered together, lirot, to see, keitzad sorfim et Avraham ba'esh, to see how Avraham is being burnt in the fire. Ve'aya Avraham italech beraglav betoch hakivshan. And a miracle has happened, Hashem has saved him, and he was walking into the fire as if there is no fire burning around. Okay, that's the story that's been told in the Medrash. So we see that Abram's life was quite full of events. It was no regular, ordinary life. He had full life prior to become 75. And Hashem's talking to him, please start walking into towards the land of Israel. So the question comes back, question that you open with, why does the Torah, so everything that we just now quoted, everything comes from where? From the Medrash, from the Midrashic sources. Nothing comes from the Torah itself. Why? Why not tell us a little bit of background? It's not like he didn't have anything. He had so many stories that was going on in the family. That's why they escaped. That's why Haran, we asked why Haran has died during the lifetime of his father, because the Midrash goes on to say that Haran, he was like a guy who didn't know what sides to choose. It was like this type of people, they see they're gonna go with the winner, right? So after Abraham was saved from the fire, he decided, okay, I'm gonna go with Abraham, and he also jumped into the fire, but he was killed because I guess he wasn't at the level of Avraham Avinu. Okay, so why does the Torah does not tell us anything about Abraham? Before we're going to answer the question, we're just going to say one more thing about nisyonot of Avraham Avinu. What is nisyonot in Hebrew? Nisyonot means challenges. Challenges. Nisayon means also like to try out. Like you want to try something out, you menaseh, right? Come from the word menaseh. Lenasot means to try something out. But here, when we talk about nisayon, we're going to see in Hebrew, in Lashon HaKodesh in general, usually it's very precise. The words are meticulous. Something that we say contains the idea within the word itself. So we're going to see that the word nisayon also represents something which is very interesting. But Hashem has tested Avraham with 10 challenges, 10 tests. Right? As we see in the Mishnah, we see number 3, Mishnah in Masechet Avot. The Mishnah tells us, Asara nisyonot nitnasa Avraham Avinu va'amad bekulam. There were 10 challenges that Avraham Avinu was challenged by Hashem, and he amad bekulam. How do you say amad bekulam? Like he was successful to do everything. He was withstanding all the nisyonot that Hashem has tested. And the question comes up, why he tests a man so much? Right? One of the nisyonot was going to the land, leave his natural place and leave and start walking towards the land of Israel. This is one of the nisyonot that Hashem is challenging. Well, what is this idea of nisyonot that Hashem brought? Another one and another one. He was not satisfied just with 1 or 2 challenges, or he keep challenging him all the time. Why is that? So in Hebrew, the word nisayon have 2 meanings. One meaning is challenge, but also nisayon means an elevation, like a ladder. When you go on a ladder from one level to another level, it's also represented in the word nisayon, going up from one level to another. Okay? So Hashem basically, this is the idea of nisyonot in general, challenges that Hashem brings about a person. It's not just to test a person to see if he's going to stand, if he's going to be successful. It's also to discover the truth of a person, a depth that a person contains within himself, but the person is not able to bring it out. A person is not able to express his depth and his true essence of himself unless he has these challenges. Sometimes just the challenge itself is coming upon the person just in the reason to bring out the power that the person has, and maybe was not even aware that he's capable of these things. Okay? So let's read it. There's a famous story, by the way, that they say about the Rebbe. The Rebbe used to distribute dollars on every Sunday, right? Mm-hmm. From the year 1986, I think. Every Sunday, people used to come by, and the Rebbe used to give for charity a $1 bill. But it was also a time that a lot of people approached the Rebbe and talked to the Rebbe and asked him for brachas and for whatever it is, for his advice. It was a very unique time. And they say, I don't know if the story is true or not, but they say there was one chatan, somebody who's about to get married, was passing by and he tells the Rebbe, I'm going to get married, but my bride is not Jewish. That's what he tells the Rebbe. So the Rebbe is telling him, I'm jealous of you. That was the Rebbe's response. I'm envy of you. Because I was never challenged with this. If Hashem challenged you with having a relationship with a girl who's not Jewish, so that means you have the power to withstand this challenge. So that means Hashem has the trust in you that you can do that. That you can have the challenge and you can build a real Jewish life with the Jewish girl. That's what the Rebbe told me. That's what they say. So I don't know if it's the truth or not, but it's a story.
It's a nice story.
It's a nice story. So this is an idea how to look at a perspective, how to look at challenges. We look at challenge and something which is very difficult, and we, Hashem brings upon difficult times, and we don't know what to do with it. And we're nebachs, we're miserable, and we have to try to do our best to survive. But there's another perspective to look at it. Hashem wants to bring out a depth and a strength which is within me, within my soul, and I'm maybe not even aware of that, and just by the challenge, I'm able to bring it out, to express it. We're going to read it inside, okay, in the words of the Rebbe. Itva'aduyot Rabbi Milubavitch Tafshin Memei. This is a quote from a Rebbe's Sicha means like a talk of the Rebbe from the year Tafshin Memei. Okay, Tafshin Memei is 1985. So the Rebbe says like this: Kasher Isha, the Rebbe was talking probably to women. Kasher Isha, when a lady nitkelet bekoshi mesuyam, she's facing a certain difficulty, bebitzua chovotei elokiyot, in fulfilling the duties that she's supposed to do. Yesh lechach hesber muvan me'elav. There's an obvious explanation to that. First, osha koshi mufraz be'ena, something that you perceive not in a right way. Maybe this is not a real difficulty the way you perceive it. ואם הוא בלתי רגיל באמת, מהווה עובדה זו הוכחה שהקדוש ברוך הוא העניק לה כוחות בלתי רגילים. The fact that the person is facing such a challenge, that itself is a proof that Hashem is giving that man or that lady כוחות בלתי רגילים, unusual power. If you're facing an unusual event, unusual incident, that means that along with it, you are empowered with unusual strength to deal with it and to cope with it. היכולים לבוא לידי גילוי רק על ידי התמודדות וניסיון מיוחדים במילם. Just by that challenge and this comforting that a person has to go through, only then his powers can be discovered. במקרה כזה יש לה את הרווח שהיא מגלה בנפשה את הכוחות הבלתי רגילים. She has the benefit that she can discover these amazing powers that she has, ומכניסה אותם אל מאגר כוחותיה המודעים. And now it becomes like each person has like a toolkit, whatever powers or whatever capabilities that a person possesses. So once you discover something that you didn't know about yourself, now you can use it also in your ordinary, regular life. Like I said in Shabbos, there was, I don't know if it's true or not, but there was conventional thinking that a person cannot run a mile in shorter time than 4 minutes. That was the conventional thinking, and they thought it's even madai. I didn't say madai. It's even could be proved by science. It's even something which is proven by science that a person cannot run a mile faster than 4 minutes. And then came a guy from London, I think, from Britain, and he was able to run a mile in 3 minutes and 56 seconds. So he proved everyone wrong. And he found out that he didn't even know this idea, this thinking that a person cannot run a mile faster than 4 minutes. And since that time that this record was broken, it goes lower and lower every time. That's what they say. I don't know. You have to know better than me in this field. Running. You don't know about it? What?
I don't run so fast.
Okay. Okay, we gotta answer the question. Why does the Torah does not tell us anything about the past of Abraham? So we're going to answer that with a Hasidic story, like I like to do. Okay? Hasidic story can answer a lot of questions. So the Hasidic stories have been told about the Baal Shem Tov. Okay? Rabbi Yisrael Baal Shem Tov lived in Mezhibush in Ukraine. So in that city where he lived, there was also a tailor. A very simple fellow, very simple man. He lived out in that town, and one day a rumor started to go around that this tailor, this simple guy, gives brachot to people, he blesses people, and his blessings are fulfilled. Okay? His blessings are fulfilled. Whichever blessing that you give a person, it's happening, it's being materialized. So people started thinking, oh, such a simple man gives brachot, and brachot are really working. Probably this guy is has to do with magic, has to do with forces which are unpure, let's put it this way. Something which are not coming, things which are not coming from the holy sides of creation, something like that. And they came to the Baal Shem Tov and told him the story. So Baal Shem Tov said, let me go over to him, I want to talk to the person, I want to find out a little bit about his past. So he came over to this guy and they started having a conversation. So I asked him, tell me please a little bit your past, in recent past, what has happened with your life? So he told him, listen, recently me and my friend, like about 3 years ago, me and my friend, both of them are tailors, they ran out of jobs, they didn't have enough work to do and enough parnassah to make in their little Mezhibush place. So they decided they're going to go around in some villages around the country, and instead of waiting for the parnassah to come to them, they're going to go out and search for parnassah in different locations, different places. So they used to go from one place to another place until they came to like a large city, and they was living there in a huge mansion. Paritz is like a landowner on the area, and they came in the right moment because a few days ahead was supposed to take place the wedding of the daughter of this landlord, and mistress, right? His wife needed desperately some tailors to really, take control of a lot of jobs that were going around for the parties. There's a lot of parties gonna go on, and she needed desperately some help because the locals were not able to do the job. So right away, when she accepted them, she right away gave them a lot of jobs to do, and she liked their jobs. She liked their work in a very extraordinary way. She liked it so much that she asked them, please stay here in this place and we're going to provide you with anything you need. You're going to get work from all around the place. You're going to be our own tailor for anything that we need. And that's what happened. For 3 long years, they stayed in that place and they made some money. After 3 years that he working as a tailor, they are able to earn some money. After 3 years and after communicating for a certain time, only through the mail, sending letters to their families, they decided it's time to go back home after a long time of absence from their homes. They started walking, and right upon entering the city of Mezhibush, where they used to live, or the family lived, they heard a lot of turmoil going around the city. A lot of noise, and people screaming, and people weeping, and people crying. So they found out what's the story. So they told them there's a wedding that was supposed to take place today of 2 orphans, a girl who is an orphan and a boy who is an orphan, and the wedding was supposed to take place today, but we cannot do the wedding because there's no penny. They cannot sponsor anything. The families, right? They cannot do the wedding, so the wedding is going to be cancelled. So, and that's why, people are broken, people are in pain, they're devastated of the tragedy that they cannot afford the wedding. So they asked, what's the sum? How much money do they need to make the wedding and to start the life of this young couple? They said we need 300 rubles. Okay, 300 rubles. That's it. Each one of them had in his pocket 300 rubles. So one of them, they looked one on the other and they figured, let's split the money. You're going to give 150, I'm going to give 150, and both together we can make their wedding, to sponsor their wedding. But one of them said, I'm sorry, I cannot do that. I'm away from my home for so long, and I'm coming back. I cannot give even a penny. My family needs the money. I have to support my family. I'm going to go right back home. I don't want to stay here. He just escaped the place and ran back home. And the other one stayed by himself, and he figured, I'm going to do it. He took all the money that he had, 300 rubles that he earned throughout the 3 years that he was working by that mistress, and gave it all to the family. And he came back home with nothing. After 3 years, we can just imagine the Kabbalat Panim, right? The acceptance that he had in his home after a long time that he didn't come back, and they all jumped on him. Well, come on, what do you get for us? And, coming back after such a long time. And he said, I'm sorry, I have nothing to offer. I gave everything away. I don't have anything. This is something which is beyond human regular behavior. I don't know much of people. It's a Hasidic story though, but that's the story. That's what a person has done according to the story. So he keeps telling his story to the Baal Shem Tov. So he tells him, listen, after I gave everything that I had, and the situation in the house, I guess, was not so pleasant. After, I can assume that his wife was not that happy, that he came back with nothing. So he went out in the streets, and he was looking what to do, And there was a man who saw like this guy, and he looked very miserable, so he gave him a donation. He gave him some coins. And in exchange to the coins, he asked for a bracha. Please give me a bracha. I'm going to do a deal. I have a deal to make someplace around the city, and please give me a bracha. I should be successful in exchange for the money that I gave you. So he gave him a bracha. And it was a deal that was not reasonable to really be successful. But then all of a sudden, he didn't expect this deal to come out successful. But the deal was extraordinary. Successful. Was very good to the extent of this man. So he said, you know what, maybe that blessing that I got from this guy really worked. So next week, when he had to do again another deal, went over again to this guy and gave him some coins, and he asked him for a bracha, and guess what? The bracha worked again. So then he made it into a custom. Every time that before I'm going to a business trip, before I have to do my dealings, before I have to do my stuff, I'm going to go to this man, I'm going to give him some donation, and I'm going to get a bracha from him. And every time this man's bracha was working perfectly for this man. One time, they were sitting in like a drinking place, and people asked him, you're really doing well lately. What's your secret? Why are you doing so good? So he told them the story. I'm going to this man, and his brachas are really working. So then the rumor started going around, this man's blessing is really going to do very well. So the Baal Shem Tov, this is the conclusion of the story, the Baal Shem Tov told him, since you broke the boundary of a human being by behaving the way you behave, gave everything that you earned during 3 years, and you gave everything to an orphan family, to an orphan kala and chatan, to make their wedding, you broke the boundary of a human being, and you some kind elevated, you've been connected to the infinite, you've been connected to such a behavior that is completely beyond a human grasp, something which is beyond normal. By that, you're able to get the bracha of Avraham Avinu to be blessed. Whoever you're going to bless will be blessed, and whoever you will curse you will be cursed. Like, so to speak, the bracha of Avinu was transferring to you because of your behavior. So this is a nice Hasidic story, but it captures also the idea of Avraham Avinu. That's why the Torah does not give us any introduction about Avraham Avinu. Up until the age of 75, when Hashem spoke directly to Avraham Avinu, told him a mission, told him what to do, to leave his place and start marching towards the land of Israel, he did a lot of great things, but many people did great things. Everything that Avraham was done was in his own capability, something that was based and built on his own personality. He did everything on his own. He discovered God on his own. There's a dispute among the commentators in what age Avraham discovered monotheism. Discovered the unity of God, that everything is basically run by a single God. Some people say the common thinking about Avraham Avinu was at the age of 3. That's the time that he started discovering and thinking and trying to think what's running the entire world. Right? But everything that he has done was done through himself. Through him, he never broke the boundary of a human being. But by hearing the voice, so to speak, hearing the call of Hashem, and start doing Hashem's will, the way Hashem wanted him to act, to behave, in that way he broke the boundary of a human being, and he was connected to Hashem in a way that was unique. And that's why the Torah does not start to tell us all the stories of Avraham Avinu, because everything that was happening prior to the command of Hashem, that does not show us still what a Jew is. Right? We said in the beginning that all the stories of the Torah has to tell us also, to teach us also a lesson about ourselves, right? So when we speak about the first Jew, who was Abraham, basically we're also talking about the essence of a Jewish man. What is a Jewish man or a Jewish woman? Every Jewish individual has a unique characteristic that comes from Avraham Avinu. And the characteristic is, the feature of Avraham Avinu is not a greatness. It's not something great that he has done, because many people done great things. The characteristic of Avraham Avinu was the fact that he was able to connect with Hashem in a real, true essence, in a real way. And that could be done only through fulfilling Hashem's will. Hashem has talked to him, please depart, please leave your place, and he just started walking. At the same time, in the same moment that he heard that Hashem wanted him to start the journey to the Jewish land, to land of Israel, he just started marching at the same time, right? When he heard it. That captures the essence of a Jew. A connection to Hashem, not on our own capabilities, but a connection that comes from Hashem himself. You know, to say an anecdote about Socrates. That's how you pronounce it in English? Socrates, right? Socrates was a Greek philosopher, maybe the greatest of all times. He used to be the rabbi of Apollon, they call him Plato. Okay, his student was Platon. What? Plato. Okay, same man, just a different. And which Plato was the was the teacher of Aristotle, right? Aristotle, that's how we call him. So they say Socrates was a very big preacher about states, about statism, about the role of the state and the fact that everybody has to be under the state. And somehow his ideas did not fit into the mindset of the greatest of Athens. That's how they used to call them, the greatest of Athens. So they incarcerated him, something like that. They put him into jail for a long time, and then they sentenced him to death. And at a certain time, he had friends, he had some connections, so he had a friend who could have liberated him out of the prison where he was captured. He had this opportunity, but he said, "I'm preaching." I don't know. There's a verse in Greek, in Old Greek, what he said. I can't repeat that, but he basically said that I'm preaching my entire life about the state and the importance of the state and the fact that every person has to be surrendered to the state. I cannot go against the will of the state. If this will of the state is that I have to be killed, I'm sorry, I have to accept upon myself the verdict to be killed, and I have to accept it. That's what he said. And they really killed him. They killed Socrates. So they say, the Alter Rebbe once said, the first Rebbe of Chabad, Rabbi Shneur Zalman, he once said that probably when Socrates went up to heaven, he said, "I want to see Abraham." Why do you want to see Abraham? Because I'm just like him. I want to be in the same chamber of Abraham. Why? Because that's what he explained. He has sacrificed himself, right? Died, so to speak, al Kiddush Hashem, for his ideas, for his belief, and I do the same. I have to be in the same chamber of Abraham. I'm in the same degree, the same elevated status of Abraham. That's what he told him. But they answered him, I'm sorry, there's a big essential, little difference, but a very essential difference between you and Abraham. Because you are sacrificed for whatever you have believed. Avraham is sacrificed for whatever he was told to do. For his belief that came from Hashem, basically. Not on his own merit, not on his own power. So that's basically the essential difference between a goy, so to speak, non-Jew, and a Jew. A Jew is such an entity that has the power, has the ability to be connected to the Almighty, to be connected to the Infinite. Why? Because he's really connected to the will of Hashem. By doing a small little mitzvah, right? It could be anything, any mitzvah, any good deed that a person is doing, he's being connected to the Almighty. And the Zohar is explaining that the word mitzvah, right? The word mitzvah coming from the same root in Hebrew as tzavta. What is tzavta? Tzavta means a link, a connection. By doing a mitzvah, basically by doing the will of Hashem, we are being connected to Hashem. That's the idea of a mitzvah. So, and this is the unique story of Abraham. This is the unique story of every Jew. That's why the Torah, that answers the question, why does the Torah does not tell us any story that happened to Abraham prior Hashem's talking to him? Because this is not the essence of Abraham. This is not the essence of a Jew. The essence of a Jew is hearing the call of Hashem to make the world a better place and do something about it. when Abram heard the will of Hashem that he should start marching towards the Holy Land and build a nation of the Jewish people, he right away had answered this call and started doing this project. And this is captured the essence of a Jew. We're just going to conclude with, what time is it, by the way? Okay, it's pretty decent. An hour. And we had a cockroach going around. So, it's also a nice story that I read about this idea. It's a story about a rabbi who told his congregates that I saw that. She may have not seen, but I've seen. You cannot run away. So they say a story about a rabbi or a rebbe that told his student, his follower, that every month the entire successful the entire month is dependent of the davening of a person on Rosh Chodesh, right? What is Rosh Chodesh? The beginning of the month. So the entire success of a human being, of a Jew, during the month is dependent on his davening on Rosh Chodesh, and especially when he says Ana Hashem, right? When do we say Ana Hashem on Rosh Chodesh? We pray, we recite the Hallel on Rosh Chodesh, and then we have two Ana Hashem, right? We have Ana Hashem Hoshiana, and we have Ana Hashem Atzlichana, right? Ana Hashem, please, oh God, Hoshiana, I guess, bring us salvation, right? Hoshia, Milashon Yeshua. And Atzlichana, please help us out, make us successful in whatever we do. Okay? That's Ana Hashem Hoshiana, Ana Hashem Atzlichana. So the congregation basically split into two groups. Some people say that the Rebbe meant that the Ana Hashem that the Rebbe was talking about was the first Ana Hashem Hoshiana. The second group said no. Rebbe's intention was the Rebbe was talking about Ana Hashem Atzlichana. So when they came upon the davening of Rosh Chodesh, so they all screamed, and half of them screamed that Ana Hashem Hoshiana, and the other group screamed that Ana Hashem Atzlichana, trying to to evoke their intention in this Ana Hashem. So when the Rebbe heard that, he said, "I'm sorry, you both wrong. I didn't mean not to this Ana Hashem and not to that Ana Hashem. There's another Ana Hashem in Hallel. In Hallel, when we pray the Hallel, when we recite the Hallel, there's another Ana Hashem there. It says, Ana Hashem ki ani avdecha. Please, God, because I am your servant. It's one of the psukim that David HaMelech is saying in Hallel. But there's a little difference between the first Ana and the second Ana. Ana Hashem Hoshiana, Ana Hashem Atzlichana. It's spelled with Aleph, Nun, and Aleph, right? That's what it says. That's how we say Ana. What is Ana? How do we spell Ana? Aleph, Nun, and then Aleph, right? That's how we say Ana. But the first time when it says Ana Hashem ki ani avdecha, it says Aleph, Nun, Hey. Not with Aleph at the end. Aleph, Nun, Hey. What is Ana with Aleph, Nun, Hey? It means also not just please, but it means also to wear, right? Ana means where to. In a proper, nice, fancy Hebrew, when you want to ask somebody, where do you go? So you say, Ana. Ana ta lech. Okay? Ana means where to. Okay? We don't use that often. Don't be, if you never heard it before, don't be surprised, because this is not too common to use that. Maybe in academic they use that, but Ana means where to. So that Rebbe told his Hasidim, I meant that the kavanah of a person during the Rosh Chodesh prayer has to be where to, God. What do you want us to do? Where is our mission during the following month? So this is also the same idea of Avraham Avinu when he was told, go to a certain place and start do your mission, start do your purpose in life. Right away he answered this call and he said to God, I'm here with you in this mission. Thank you. Is this open still? So it has to be closed.
Yes.
Schräg.
Yeah.